The arrest of motivational speaker and self-proclaimed spiritual guru James Arthur Ray. He was charged today with 3 counts of manslaughter, one for each person who died in a sweat lodge ceremony last fall at his spiritual retreat. Dan Harris first investigated the fatalities and this suspect for Nightline in October, and he's got tonight's report.
It is a stunning fall from grace for a man who was once one of the fastest rising stars in the $11 billion a year self-help industry. One of the featured teachers in the mega best-selling book and DVD, The Secret.
Most people look at their current state of affairs and they say, this is who I am. That's not who you are.
Which argue that you can get whatever you want through the power of your thoughts. A guru who tonight is in jail facing 3 charges of manslaughter. The arrest today of James Arthur Ray is the culmination of a nearly 4-month investigation into what happened inside of this makeshift structure known as a sweat lodge, traditionally used as part of a Native American ceremony.
Is this a result of a shooting or something?
No, it was a sweat lodge.
A sweat lodge?
Yes.
Okay.
Ray was guiding one of those ceremonies here in Sedona, Arizona, when 3 people died and 18 others were rushed to the hospital. One of the victims was Liz Newman, a longtime devotee of Ray. We spoke just a short while ago with her daughter, Andrea Puckett.
I think this needed to happen because I believe that we needed to make an example out of this situation and that you can't be so careless with people's lives.
Liz Newman and the other victims had passed out inside of the sweat lodge, which was filled with steam as Ray poured water over burning hot rocks in the center of the tent. Participant Beverly Bunn says despite the warning signs, Ray urged people to stay inside.
There was a lot of people actually spitting. There was a lot of people throwing up. He encouraged, he said it's normal. If you have any pain or anxiety or anything going on in your body, your mind is stronger than that and you can overcome that.
Ray's lawyers say he never physically stopped anyone from leaving. Melinda Martin, a former James Ray employee, was on the scene as well. She says as the ceremony went on, the injuries got worse and the scene became more frightening.
One guy, he had fallen into the pit in the middle, fallen into the pit of molten rocks, and he had burned his entire arm, and all the white of his skin was gone, and the skin was just basically hanging off of his elbow. So down his leg, down both sides of his arms, and he was sitting there staring, not reacting to the burned arm, and I was trying to take care of him, and his entire mindset was getting back into there. He said, I'm not done. I've got to go back in.
He went back in?
He went back in.
He went back in, she says, because of the enormous power that Ray had over his followers. This is a man who prided himself on pushing people to show them that they're bigger and better than their preconceived limits. But during this crisis, as his followers lay sick and dying, his former employee, Melinda Martin, who was performing CPR on one of the victims, says Ray simply stared.
And I look up and he's standing right over my head, watching. He's watching from stand-up position. He didn't offer to help. He didn't say anything, nothing at all. And he was like kind of just looking around. I'm sure he was shocked, but so was I. But that didn't stop me from getting down on the ground and, you know, working and trying to get people back to life.
Did you see him do anything to help anybody?
No.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Ray's attorneys say he did everything possible to help out at the scene, but according to local police, Ray did not give them a statement that night, and then he returned to California the following day. When we first met Andrea Puckett, Liz Newman's daughter, back in November, she told us that no one from Ray's organization called her to tell her that her mother was in the hospital, and that when she arrived at the hospital several days later, she found her mother in a coma.
It was very difficult to see her for the first time. It didn't look like my mom. Knowing that just, a week and a half earlier, I had dropped my mom off at the airport, and she was in perfect health. Watching her gasp for breath was the hardest thing I've ever done.
Who do you blame for this?
I definitely think that a lot of fault falls on James Ray. I mean, like I said, they knew each other for 7 years. She trusted him to keep her safe. And when she needed him most, he left. He didn't contact our family and just left her there to die.
Ray's bond has been set at $5 million. Tonight, ABC News has learned that Ray, who once had a best-selling book called Harmonic Wealth, may not have the money to post bond. I'm Dan Harris for Nightline in New York.
And in a statement tonight, Ray's attorney called the charges, quote, unjust, and the deaths a terrible accident, adding that Ray cooperated with authorities every step of the investigation. We will continue to follow this case, and our thanks to Dan Harris for tonight's report.